In the affluent Independence layout of Enugu, Chief Wango's mansion stood as a testament to his success in the oil industry. The imposing structure, with its marble floors and crystal chandeliers, housed a family bound by love and tradition. Chief Wango, a distinguished Igbo businessman with graying temples and kind eyes, had built his empire from nothing. His wife, Dr. Uju Wango, was a renowned pediatrician at the University of Nigeria Teaching Hospital. Her natural hair always perfectly styled, her lab coat a symbol of her dedication to healing children. Their daughter Chimamanda was the pride of their hearts. At 19, she possessed her mother's intelligence and her father's determination. Her dark skin glowed with health and happiness, and her bright smile could light up any room. She excelled in her pre-medical studies at the University of Nigeria, Nsukka, dreaming of following in her mother's footsteps to become a doctor who would serve her community. Oluchi had been part of their household for 2 decades, arriving as a frightened 14-year-old from a poor village in Anambra State. The Wangos had taken pity on her, treating her more like family than a domestic worker. They paid for her secondary education and even her national certificate in education. Now 34, Oluchi was a beautiful woman with high cheekbones and intelligent eyes. But those eyes increasingly held shadows of resentment. As the years passed, Oluchi watched Chimamanda's life unfold like a fairy tale. While she scrubbed floors and prepared meals, Chimamanda attended university, wore designer clothes, and traveled abroad for holidays. The family's kindness felt like charity to Oluchi's wounded pride. She began to notice every privilege, every opportunity that Chimamanda took for granted. The expensive textbooks, the laptop, the car, the endless possibilities that stretched before the young woman like a golden road. Why her and not me? Oluchi whispered to herself each night in her small quarters behind the main house. The question grew into a festering wound, fed by years of comparing her humble origins to Chimamanda's blessed life. Envy poisoned her heart, transforming gratitude into bitterness, love into hatred. The breaking point came on Chimamanda's 19th birthday. Chief Wango threw an elaborate party, inviting Enugu's elite to celebrate his daughter's acceptance into medical school. Oluchi served guests in her pressed uniform, invisible among the wealthy families who praised Chimamanda's achievements. She watched the young woman dance in her expensive gown, surrounded by friends and admirers, and something inside her snapped. That night, after cleaning up the remnants of celebration, Oluchi made a decision that would damn them all. She had heard whispers in the market about Okaka, a powerful native doctor who lived in the dense forests outside Enugu. People spoke of him in hushed tones, describing impossible transformations and dark miracles. Some called him evil, others, desperate enough, called him salvation. The next morning, Oluchi took her savings and ventured into the forest. Okaka's compound was a collection of mud huts surrounded by fetish objects and animal skulls. The sorcerer himself was ancient, his dark skin marked with ritual scarifications, his eyes holding depths of knowledge that chilled the soul. He listened to Oluchi's request with growing interest, his thin lips curving into a smile that promised terrible things. You want the parents to love you as their daughter and treat their real daughter as a servant? Okaka's voice was like rustling leaves. Such magic requires great sacrifice. Are you prepared to pay the price? Oluchi nodded without hesitation. The ritual was horrifying. She drank bitter concoctions, allowed Okaka to mark her body with symbols, and watched as he performed incantations over personal items she had stolen from the Wango family. The ceremony culminated at midnight when Okaka mixed her blood with mysterious powders and cast the mixture into a fire that burned with unnatural colors. It is done, he whispered as the flames died. But remember, child, all magic comes with consequences. What you have set in motion cannot be easily undone. Oluchi left the forest feeling electric with power and possibility. She returned to the Wango house in the early hours, slipping back into her quarters as the first cock crowed. By sunrise, the spell would take hold, and her life would finally begin. The transformation was swift and absolute. When Chief Wango woke that morning, he looked at his daughter with cold indifference, as if seeing a stranger. Dr. Uju felt the same inexplicable shift. her maternal love mysteriously transferred to Oluchi. It was as if 20 years of memories had been rewritten overnight. "Chimamanda, why aren't you dressed for work?" Dr. Uju snapped at her confused daughter. "Oluchi shouldn't have to handle all the household duties alone." "But Mama, I have classes." "Today," Chimamanda protested, bewildered by her mother's harsh tone. "Classes? What classes?" Chief Wango laughed bitterly. "You're not going anywhere. You have work to do here." The reversal was complete and devastating. Oluchi was moved into Chimamanda's beautiful bedroom, while the real daughter was banished to the maid's quarters. The family lavished attention on Oluchi, buying her expensive clothes and jewelry, treating her opinions as precious wisdom. Meanwhile, Chimamanda was forced to wake at dawn to prepare breakfast, scrub floors until her knees bled, and endure constant criticism and punishment. The psychological torture was even worse than the physical labor. These were the people who had raised her, loved her, shaped her dreams, and now they looked at her with disgust. When she tried to remind them of their shared memories, they accused her of delusion and lies. The bewilderment in her parents' eyes when she called them Mama and Papa was like a knife to her heart. Oluchi relished every moment of her newfound power. She delighted in giving Chimamanda impossible tasks and cruel punishments. The climax of her cruelty came when she filmed Chimamanda scrubbing the bathroom floor, blood seeping through the bandages on her knees, tears streaming down her face. She posted the video on social media with the caption, "Some people need to learn their place." The video went viral, bringing shame upon the family name. Though somehow only Chimamanda seemed to bear the blame. For 6 months, this nightmare continued. Chimamanda's grades plummeted as she was forbidden from attending classes regularly. Her friends abandoned her, unable to understand her family's sudden cruelty. She aged years in those months, her bright spirit dimming under the weight of endless suffering and bewilderment. Yet through it all, Chimamanda held onto a core of dignity and faith that Oluchi couldn't break. She prayed each night for understanding, for strength, and surprisingly, for her tormentors' souls. The spell's end came as suddenly as its beginning. Oluchi, drunk on her false power and the thrill of social media fame, had been driving recklessly through Enugu's busy streets when her car collided with a trailer truck. The impact was devastating. She was rushed to the University of Nigeria Teaching Hospital in critical condition, her body broken, her mind lost to unconsciousness. The moment Oluchi's eyes closed in the hospital, the spell shattered like glass. Chief Wango and Dr. Uju woke from their supernatural stupor as if emerging from a nightmare. The memories came flooding back with horrible clarity. They remembered their real daughter, their love for her, and the inexplicable cruelty they had shown her. The horror of what they had done, the months of treating their precious child like a servant, brought them to their knees. "My God, what have we done?" Dr. Uju wept, finding Chimamanda in the tiny maid's quarters, her once soft hands now calloused and scarred. My child, please forgive us." Chief Wango couldn't even speak, overwhelmed by shame and confusion. How had they been so blind? How had they forgotten their own daughter? The expected response would have been anger, resentment, demands for explanation. Instead, Chimamanda simply embraced her weeping parents. "I forgive you," she whispered. "I know this wasn't truly you." But Chimamanda's greatest act of grace was yet to come, despite everything Oluchi had done to her. She visited the unconscious woman in the hospital every day. While Oluchi lay paralyzed and blind from her injuries, Chimamanda sat beside her bed, reading scriptures and praying for her healing. "I forgive you, Oluchi," she whispered to the still form. "I understand your pain now. I pray that you find peace." On the 7th day of her vigil, Oluchi's eyes fluttered open. Though her body remained broken, her mind was clear, and with consciousness came the full weight of her actions. She wept bitter tears of repentance, begging Chimamanda's forgiveness. The Wangos sent Chimamanda to study medicine at Harvard, where she flourished and eventually became a renowned physician. Oluchi remained in Nigeria, wheelchair-bound and partially blind, but the family continued to care for her. She spent her remaining years in quiet service to others, working with disabled children, finding redemption through humility. Years later, Dr. Chimamanda Wango would tell her own children that the greatest magic in the world isn't found in curses or spells, but in the transformative power of forgiveness. Love, she learned, is indeed stronger than any darkness.